Life's too crazy, so I'm stuck here in my closet. Life's too crazy, so I'm here with privacy. Life's too crazy, so I'm stuck here in my closet. Life's too crazy, so you're stuck in here with me.
Hey everyone, so I had a pretty fun night last night. I was stuck in the hospital. Yay! So what happened was, at about 9:45 p.m., my stomach started hurting. So I went in and I told my mom and everything, and she gave me tons, and then she put this heating pad on my stomach to try and loosen my muscles. That didn't help. And then I was laying down and it was really hard to breathe. And that one passed, and then I had another one around 11, and my dad and mom tried all this stuff, like they made me chug these bottles of water, and then they stuck me in a shower to try to steam everything out of me, which didn't help it at all. And then after that, Dad quickly got dressed and everything, and he was like, okay, we're gonna go to the hospital, let's go. So we hopped in the car at about 11:20. To the hospital about 11:30, and we get in there and everything, and Dad tells the lady the problem, and by then my second episode had subsided. It was gone for the moment and I could breathe okay. But then when we got to the hospital, of course it starts right back up again. So then they took me back into this little area, and they had me sit on this bed, and they asked me all these questions, like the really stupid questions, like the really obnoxious ones in my opinion. And then they weighed me, and they took my blood pressure, and by now I'm like doubled over in pain. I did not feel good at all. And she had the blood pressure thingy on my arm, and it was squeezing the crap out of it. And I could not sit still. I was in so much pain. And she was like, well, sweetie, you have to sit still. It's not picking up your blood pressure. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I'm in pain. I didn't actually say that. I was thinking it, though. And so after that, they weighed me. And then they stuck me in this little waiting room. And by then, my little episode had subsided again. And so I pulled out my Nintendo DS and I started playing Sudoku. And about halfway through my game, my stomach started hurting, and I was like, oh crap, here it comes. So I saved my game, I turned my DS off, and I stick it in my purse, and it starts up again. But this time, it was way worse than the last time. I was heaving, I was making all these noises apparently. I was really hot and sweaty and dizzy. A lot of it is really blurry. I do remember, though, the few people in the waiting room with me were, like, staring at me. You know, like, is she okay? She's making a lot of noise. Is she okay? And then this one lady had her baby. It's okay. It's okay, really. It's okay. Don't cry. It's okay. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm, like, doubled over and, like, making all these noises and everything, and then I think my dad got up, and the next thing I knew, I was in this other room, because I guess they got a room for me. And then, like, they tossed the nightgown on the bed, and they're like, okay, you have to put this on with an open back. And I was like, my dad's in here. Yeah, and like, my episode wasn't over when I got into that room. I was still kind of heaving a little bit. And really, really, really weak and tired, because like, oh my gosh, that episode took so much energy out of me, you have no idea. I just felt like passing out right there and then. So my dad, like, he pulls my shirt off, and he puts the nightgown on, and he's like, take your bra off. Awkward much? Anyway. So then, this nurse came in, and he asked me all these questions, and then the doctor came in, and she asked me all these questions. And then, the nurse came back in, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna need to get a urine sample from you, and we'll go from there. So he hands me this little bottle, and, like, explained how to do it, because I'd never done that before, and that was awkward as heck. And then he came in and he was like, okay, now we're going to do an IV. And for those of you who haven't done it, who've never had that before, like, this was my first time getting one, and it hurts. Like, he gets all these little test tubes, he gets like 5 of them, all the different sizes and stuff, and, he's like, okay, this is going to hurt like about less than a pinch. It hurt more than a pinch. Let me tell you right now, it hurt more than a pinch. And, then he fills all the test tubes and everything, and then he left the frickin' needle in my arm for the entire over 5 hours that we were there. Pain. My arm is so sore. And then, he took those and everything. He's like, okay, we're gonna go to the lab. Shortly after that, or actually, we waited a really long time, and then I had to get one of those ultrasound things, you know, like the pregnant people with the goo on their tummy. They go, oh, the baby! Oh! You know, but I wasn't pregnant. It was like, hey, look, a liver! Oh! Yeah. And the guy was, like, jabbing my ribs and stuff. It was not a fun process. And, like, at the beginning of it, he was like, we're gonna put some warm goo on your stomach, and we'll go from there. The goo was not warm. Yeah. And then after that, they came back in about a half hour later, and they were like, well, you can't eat any fatty or greasy, or spicy food. So I get to live off of fruits and vegetables. I wonder if I can have bread, though. But anyway. Yeah, and then finally the guy took the needle out of my arm. And, like, when he did, there was this long tube about that big that was, like, in my arm. Oh, my gosh. It hurt so bad. Ow. But, yeah, it's all bruised and crap now. It hurts so bad. But anyway, then we came home, and it was about 5 a.m. I passed out in my room with my dog. My sister comes in about 6 a.m. She tries to wake me up and everything, and I had another episode shortly after. I came downstairs and I had another episode. And it was very similar to the last one I had where I was like making all these noises and stuff, but more so I wanted to kick and punch things. I was in so much pain. I was like, oh, screw this. Why? Of course I wasn't actually saying things like that, but I was thinking them. And, like, poor Cindy. She was in the first video that I ever made. But, she was sitting there in tears. She was so scared and worried, and I couldn't say anything, because, like, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't say, I'm okay. Don't worry. You know? I felt so bad, but I guess she's okay now. So life's good. And I haven't had an episode since, and I'm really hoping I don't, because they're not fun. They go on for, like, 10 minutes. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, so that's my story, my hospital story. Enjoy.